Okay, let's jump right into this explainer, because today we are taking the goldfish slime coat, something most people think of as just a gross afterthought, and elevating it to what it truly is, an absolute high-tech marvel of biological engineering. Most of us just see a slippery, wet pet swimming around in a glass box, but we're about to uncover a highly active, biochemically weaponized barrier that literally dictates whether a fish lives or dies. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the fish's invisible armor, then go inside the chemical shield, look at what happens when the armor fails, meet the usual suspects, and finally cover how to repair the slime coat. Okay, part 1, the fish's invisible armor. Let's completely flip how we think about fish skin. So think about human skin for a second. We have this thick layer of dead, keratinized cells protecting us from the outside world, right? Well, a fish is completely different. Its skin is 100% alive on the outside. And because of that, it absolutely depends on this dynamic mucoid force field, the slime coat, to survive. I mean, they live in a dense aquatic environment that's just perpetually saturated with opportunistic pathogens and crazy chemical fluctuations. This brings us to a really crucial concept, osmoregulation. Think of a freshwater fish as a tiny, salty balloon floating in a freshwater tank. Because the cells inside the fish are saltier than the water outside, osmosis dictates that water constantly wants to rush in, while their vital body salts want to leak out. So the fish uses its slime coat, its gills, and its kidneys to constantly fight this pressure. It's a massive, exhausting drain on their metabolic energy. And this barrier relies on an amazing biochemical scaffolding. We're talking about mucins. These are huge proteins loaded with carbohydrate side chains that cross-link with one another. They absorb water to form this highly elastic, continuous network. It covers literally everything: the scales, the fins, and even the incredibly delicate gill lamellae, which is exactly where the fish breathes. Moving on to part 2, inside the chemical shield. Let's see how this goes from a simple physical barrier to a weaponized shield. Deep down in the epidermis, you've got these 3 highly specialized cell lineages, acting like tiny biological munitions factories. Goblet cells are constantly churning out those heavy mucins we just talked about. Sacriform cells are pumping serous fluids and specialized enzymes into the mix. But the club cells, these are wild. They release a chemical alarm substance called Schreckstoff, but they only release it when the skin is mechanically ruptured, which instantly broadcasts a chemical warning signal to every other fish in the tank. Because of these factories, the slime coat isn't just passive armor. It's an active, loaded biochemical armamentarium. It's packed with antimicrobial peptides to disrupt bacterial membranes. It's got lysozymes that literally burst bacteria wide open. It uses carbohydrate-binding lectins to basically glue dangerous parasites together. And it even carries polyunsaturated fatty acids to stop fungal spores from germinating. Seriously, it's a staggering defensive lineup. All right, part 3, when the armor fails. Because unfortunately, even the toughest force fields have a breaking point. Think about what happens when a goldfish gets super stressed. Maybe they just endured a 5-hour shipping transport, or they're in poor water with high ammonia, or maybe your local water supplier did a chlorine pulse and you didn't use enough dechlorinator. In these moments, the fish's cortisol levels spike off the charts, and the entire mucosal system gets thrown into absolute overdrive trying to protect the host. Under severe stress, things go south really fast. A healthy slime coat is clear, sleek, aerodynamic. But when it fails, we get slime coat syndrome. The fish starts hyper-secreting this thick, cloudy mucus that literally sloughs off in ragged white sheets. The bright, vibrant colors of the fish fade. But the most dangerous part? This thick sludge builds up over the gills, which cuts off gas exchange and literally suffocates the fish, forcing it to gasp for air at the surface. Genetically speaking, the fish hits the panic button. It desperately upregulates the MUC2 gene, up to a 5-fold increase, just frantically trying to make more slime. But there's a massive cost to this. This emergency response completely drains the fish's metabolic energy reserves. They get exhausted quickly, and once that energy is gone, their immune system completely crashes, leaving the front door wide open. Which brings us to part 4, the usual suspects. When the shield drops, who are the microscopic villains rushing the gates? If a vet takes a gentle skin scrape and pops it under a 400x microscope, the breakdown of culprits is pretty revealing. A staggering 40% of the time, the breach is rushed by fast-acting, lethal gram-negative bacteria. 30% of cases involve parasitic flukes, and 20% are microscopic protozoans. The remaining 10%? Usually chemically induced hypersecretions, where there's no living pathogen at all. And these invaders, they are terrifying up close. Flavobacterium columnar is a bacteria that literally degrades tissue into fuzzy cotton-like patches that a lot of people mistake for fungus. Then you have the flukes, Gyrodactylus, and Dactylogyrus. These are microscopic flatworms with sharp anchors they dig right into the skin and gills. It causes tiny bleeding spots and makes the fish violently scratch or flash against the tank walls. And finally, protozoans like Costia that just eagerly feed on the dying skin cells. Okay, part 5. Repairing the slime coat. The good news is we have science-backed reinforcements to restore this armor. Remember that osmoregulatory stress, the salty balloon fighting to keep freshwater out? Well, by adding just 0.1 to 0.3% therapeutic salinity, which is about 1 to 3 grams per liter of specialized aquarium salt, we drastically reduce that osmotic gradient. It gives the fish instant relief. They stop wasting energy fighting the water and instead redirect that energy toward repairing their immune system and building fresh mucins. We can also step in and apply a synthetic bandage directly into the water. Advanced conditioners use a brilliant chemical called polyvinylpyrrolidone, or PVP. Clinical trials actually show PVP can almost double mucus secretion and boost viscosity by up to 40%. When combined with carboxymethylcellulose to mimic natural mucins and aloe vera to promote cell healing, it forms a perfectly safe synthetic bandage right over exposed tissue, completely protecting the fish without clogging its gills. So here is the ultimate restorative protocol. First, get your water quality pristine and neutralize any toxic chlorine. Second, add that therapeutic salt to save the fish's energy. Third, apply PVP and aloe conditioners to physically seal up the wounds. And finally, if there's a specific active infection, we use a pharmacological shotgun approach, like praziquantel for flukes, formalin for protozoans, or an antibiotic gel food for deep bacterial issues, all without crashing your tank's natural filter. So the next time you see a goldfish swimming around, just remember, that slime is not some gross quirk. It's a highly engineered, multifunctional, biochemically active suit of armor that keeps them alive against all odds. It really makes you wonder, what other invisible, high-tech biological marvels might be hiding in plain sight right inside your own living room?